Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a body language and statement analysis assessment of Chris Watts' other mistress, Amanda McMann. Now, Amanda McMann claims to have had an affair with killer Chris Watts around March 2018, approximately 5 months before he kills his wife Shannan and their two daughters Bella and Celeste, and also their unborn baby Nichol. He then goes on to have a full-blown affair with Nichol Kessinger, as we're all aware of, very much publicised in the news, but Amanda McMann's story hasn't really been told or heard by that many people, but it's quite an interesting watch to look at her body language and listen to the words that she chooses to use in the interview that she's given with the media.
New prison mugshot has been released of Chris Watts, the Colorado man who murdered his pregnant wife and two daughters. He's clean-shaven, staring blankly into the camera. This image comes as a woman who had an affair with Watts speaks exclusively to Inside Edition. And what she told our Stephen Fabian is chilling.
She'll never be able to forget her torrid and terrifying affair with cold-blooded killer Chris Watts. Amanda McMann met Watts on the dating site Tinder last March, 5 months before he strangled his pregnant wife and smothered his two little daughters.
He seemed like a genuine guy, you know. I mean, he was funny, he was charming.
Watts claimed he was divorced. They started out texting each other. She texted, "Morning, bud." Watts replied, "What's new, pretty lady? When can we eat tacos together? That sounds like a plan. This could get out of hand. I like it." After they exchanged a few flirty text messages, Amanda agreed to meet Chris Watts in person for the first time here in this shopping center. They parked somewhere over here, and then Chris bought Amanda a coffee from this Starbucks before they decided to head to her place to watch a movie. That movie was the psychological thriller Shutter Island. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a husband who murders his wife because she killed their children.
Where are the kids?
Did the movie inspire Watts to falsely claim that he killed his wife Shannan in a rage because she strangled the little girls? Kind of eerie.
Yeah, almost like a premonition.
Right. That night, Amanda says they had their first sexual encounter.
He was very rough, I would say. Very rough. And, you know, the best way I can describe it is as he's almost zoned out into a different person.
Did he ever choke you or ask to choke you?
He did place his hand around my neck. And I quickly it freaked me out.
It sounded like he was very forceful.
Very forceful.
Is that terrifying to you now, knowing that that's how he admitted to killing his wife, choking her? He had his hands on your neck?
Yeah.
The relationship lasted several weeks until Watts began seeing another woman, co-worker Nichol Kessinger. That's Watts in the mirror taking a sexy photo of Nichol.
Let's walk up this way.
The next time Amanda saw Watts, he was in the headlines for killing his wife and kids. She still can't believe she dated him.
It made me feel betrayed. It made me feel nasty. It made me feel dirty.
He had a wife at home, pregnant, two daughters at home.
I know how that hurts.
The interview starts off with Amanda saying that he seemed like a genuine guy. What a very weird thing to say. She emphasizes when she says the word guy, and it kind of goes up her speech. So, guy, which is a bit of a strange thing. She didn't really need to emphasize at the end of the word. Doesn't necessarily mean she's lying, but immediately it's a little bit of a red flag for me, the way she emphasizes at the end of that word in that particular sentence.
Amanda McMann met Watts on the dating site Tinder last March, 5 months before he strangled his pregnant wife and smothered his two little daughters.
He seemed like a genuine guy, you know. I mean, he was funny, he was charming.
Now, Amanda claimed that Chris was very charming, that they exchanged numerous texts. They'd met on the website Tinder, the dating app or website. She obviously liked him, thought he was quite genuine, and decided to meet up with him, so she claims. What I'm going to look at today is some of the language that she uses in her body language, just to try and see if this is a lie and this is a made-up story. Personally, I'm not 100% sure either way, but there's definitely a few weird things that she says that lead me to believe that she might be lying, at least about part of what she's telling the press.
Watts claimed he was divorced. They started out texting each other. She texted, "Morning, bud." Watts replied, "What's new, pretty lady? When can we eat tacos together? That sounds like a plan. This could get out of hand. I like it."
Amanda claims that the first time she met Chris was outside a large supermarket, I presume in the Colorado area. He went to Starbucks and bought her a coffee. They had a chat. She then claims that they go back to her house, they watch a film, and that they do engage in a sexual relationship. Interestingly, and rather chillingly as well, it's quite terrifying to know this, they watched a film called Shutter Island that stars Leonardo DiCaprio. He murders his wife after she murders their children. Quite strange that if that's true, Chris did watch that film. And did he get the idea of lying that Shannan had killed Bella and Celeste to tell the police that was why he'd murdered her, because she'd murdered the girls, rather than telling the truth that he'd murdered Shannan and the two girls and unborn baby Nico?
And then Chris bought Amanda a coffee from this Starbucks before they decided to head to her place to watch a movie. That movie was the psychological thriller Shutter Island. Leonardo DiCaprio plays a husband who murders his wife because she killed their children.
Where are the kids?
Did the movie inspire Watts to falsely claim that he killed his wife Shannan in a rage because she strangled the little girls? Kind of eerie.
Yeah, almost like a premonition.
Something Amanda claims is that the first day that they meet, that night, they have their first sexual encounter. Doesn't really sit well with me. Not that many people would have sex with someone on the first day of meeting them. I don't know how long they've been communicating on Tinder or via text messages. So they may have already been speaking for a number of weeks. If that's true, it's not as shocking. But the fact she was willing to let a complete stranger back into her house after the first day of meeting them in person, in the flesh, doesn't really sit well with me.
That night, Amanda says they had their first sexual encounter.
He was very rough, I would say. Very rough.
She says he was very rough, Chris Watts. I'm not going to go into details as to what she means. I think you can probably guess. And she says it was almost as if he turned into another person. Now, considering she'd only met him that day in person for the first time, how did she really know what he was like? Now, unless he seemed like a real charming man in person and then in the bedroom he turns into some sort of monster, which is quite likely, that's probably what she means. But the fact that she says, you know, almost, the word isn't necessary. It's really strange that she decides to insert it at that point in the sentence. You would have just said he turned into another person. It wasn't like the person that I'd sat and had the coffee with. Not almost. So that doesn't sit well with me, the use of language there.
I would say very rough. And, the best way I can describe it is as he's almost zoned out into a different person.
Interestingly, the interview asks her, did Chris ever try to throttle her or strangle her? She says that he did place his hands around her neck, and she also does a gesture towards her neck when she mentions that. I didn't feel it was necessary for her to do that. We all know what that means. The interviewer knew what it meant. She didn't really need to make it visual by using her hands. Now, it may be that she's an expressive person, uses her hands a lot while talking, and perhaps that was why she did it, but that didn't sit very well with me, the fact that she needed to overemphasize showing the interviewer what that meant. You know, he has a brain in his head. I think he knew what it meant. So that's a little bit of a red flag for me again there.
Did he ever choke you or ask to choke you?
He did place his hand around my neck. And I quickly it freaked me out.
It sounded like he was very forceful.
Very forceful.
Following up from that comment, she said, and she obviously, told him to get off kind of thing, not the exact word she uses, but again, she feels the need to emphasize the hand movement of that to show that was me getting him off. Again, you can just say, I didn't like him doing it, I told him to get off. You don't really need to demonstrate getting off. So again, overuse of body language, storytelling perhaps, to make it sound more plausible that she's telling the truth. I'm not really sure I fully believe her at this point. She said that she found Chris Watts very rough and forceful in the bedroom, and that knowing how he killed his wife Shannan, knowing that he placed his hands on her neck in the bedroom, makes her very sort of fearful, very upset and saddened and shocked that she had had a relationship with a man that went on to murder his wife. Now, I'm not sure still that I believe she had a relationship with Chris Watts. She may have done. there seems to be some truth within what she's saying, but then there seems to also be some sort of elements of lies. So I'm wondering if she had met him on Tinder but didn't actually ever meet him in person, because some things she's telling rings true, other things she's saying don't ring true.
Is that terrifying to you now, knowing that that's how he admitted to killing his wife, choking her? He had his hands on your neck?
Yeah.
Now, apparently the relationship with Chris lasted approximately 3 weeks. This is what Amanda claims. 3 weeks? Was that just one meetup and the other 3 weeks was all talking? So, you know, not really long enough to get to know someone and invite them into your bedroom on the first day that you've met them in person? Again, this is all not sitting well with me, but again, it's a weird one because I believe some of the things she says, some of the things she says I don't believe, so I'm a bit confused by her at this point.
The relationship lasted several weeks until Watts began seeing another woman, co-worker Nichol Kessinger. That's Watts in the mirror taking a sexy photo.
Now, when asked Amanda by the interviewer what she thought of Chris Watts once she'd found out what he'd done to his wife, her answers are a bit strange, and I definitely don't feel comfortable with what she says. She says it made her feel nasty. Sorry for my terrible American accent. It made her feel betrayed, and it made her feel dirty. Now, yes, you could believe some of those things, but not horrified that someone you'd had sex with and liked and were perhaps falling for, that you'd met on the internet, wanted a relationship with maybe, had murdered his wife? That's a really weird reaction, in my opinion. Why would you feel betrayed? You'd only been seeing the guy for 3 weeks. You know, surely it was quite a casual thing, unless he told you you were the only person in his life and that him and Shannan were separated. So that doesn't sit very well with me. You know, betrayed after 3 weeks, bit much. And, you know, the dirty just doesn't sit well. There's no upset or horrified to know that he'd done that, you know, or I feel like a fool, or I'm embarrassed that I'd fallen for such a monster. Really strange that she doesn't say anything like that. And those 3 words just don't sit well with me.
Next time Amanda saw Watts, he was in the headlines for killing his wife and kids. She still can't believe she dated him.
It made me feel betrayed. It made me feel nasty. It made me feel dirty.
He had a wife at home, pregnant, two daughters at home.
I know how that hurt.
At the very end of the interview, she's asked, you know, he had a wife and 2 children and, you know, he was obviously cheating on her, and she gets upset and cries and says, I know how that hurts. Now, when she cries, I do believe she's upset, but is it about Chris Watts? Is it? I don't know. I just can't really work out what's going on with her. She's really strange. Her body language is a bit strange. Often when she's sort of trying to think of the things that she's about to say, it doesn't relate to sort of the true body language of someone that's telling the truth. I do find her tears not fake, but there's something not right about them, let's say. And yeah, I find it's all a bit over dramatized to try and make the interviewer buy what she's saying.
Next time Amanda saw Watts, he was in the headlines for killing his wife and kids. She still can't believe she dated him.
It made me feel betrayed. It made me feel nasty. It made me feel dirty.
Something else I've noticed, when she's thinking, she looks down. She doesn't tend to look to the left or the right. Most people, when they're thinking, look to the left or the right. They don't look down. Now, that doesn't mean she's lying, but again, it's a bit of a strange thing that I just like to point out.
Amanda McMann met Watts on the dating site Tinder last March. 5 months before, he strangled his pregnant wife and smothered his 2 little daughters.
He seemed like a genuine guy. You know, I mean, he was funny. He was charming.
Watts.
Something else that I noticed, when Amanda says he seemed like a genuine guy, he was funny, he was charming, when she says that bit, funny and charming, she shakes her head. Now, if someone's funny and charming, you know, you'd nod. It's good. They're funny, they're charming, not they're funny, they're charming. So that either leads me to believe she's lying about the fact she thought he was funny and charming. She didn't think that. Or she'd never met him in the first place and she's making the whole thing up. Something is definitely wrong with that statement, and I detect deception from that, definitely.
He seemed like a genuine guy. You know, I mean, he was funny, he was charming.
Something I've noticed about Amanda, she does maintain eye contact almost constantly, apart from a few looks down and to the left and to the right, although most of the looks are down. So she does maintain eye contact, so that's a good thing to see. she doesn't really sort of get frozen eye. It is quite genuine eye contact, and I find that good. That is a sign that she perhaps is telling the truth to some degree. But there are certain things with her body language that is just off, you know, the feeling the need to emphasize putting the hand on the neck, moving the hand away from the neck. You know, you don't really need to show that. You could do that without doing that. Now, as I said, she could be a very expressive person that uses their hands a lot when they're talking. If so, fair enough. But I don't really feel you need to tell a grown man that's interviewing you with hand movements whether a hand was on a neck, moved off a neck. You know, you can just do that with language. So that really doesn't sit overly well with me. Sum up here about the interview with Chris Watts' other mistress, Amanda McMann. I do feel that she is telling lies at points in the interview. I can't be certain what is lies and what is truth. I don't know the woman. I've only just watched a video on her recently. I've watched it over and over again to try and get a baseline for her, but her body language is a bit skewed, a bit off. She's trying to be open with the interviewer, but some of the things she does are a bit strange, a bit over dramatic, not necessary. But I don't think all of it's a lie. So my opinion really here is that she probably did meet Chris Watts, but did she really see him for 3 weeks? Did they really meet up and have a sexual relationship? I'm not sure I buy that. Anyway, guys, it's been great talking to you again. I'd love your thoughts on this. Please like and subscribe to my channel as always. But yeah, as I said, give me your comments. Do you think this woman ever met Chris Watts? Do you think they had a sexual relationship? Do you think it went on for 3 weeks? Do you believe what she says? Do you guys detect anything off about her body language or the statement that she gives, the words that she uses, the language she decides to use? I personally think something's not right about her, but I can't be certain what. Anyway, guys, it's been great talking to you all again. I hope you're keeping safe and well, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.